From a poor boy in Austria to a Hollywood star, and then the governor of California. This is the incredible story of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold's journey shows that no matter where you start, you can achieve greatness. He worked hard, stayed disciplined, and never gave up on his dreams. Every challenge he faced became a stepping stone to success. Through this video, you will see how passion, courage, and persistence can turn impossible dreams into reality. Arnold's story is not just about fame or muscles, it's about life lessons that anyone can follow. Chapter 1: A Hard Childhood in Austria. He was born in a small Austrian village, far from the bright lights of Hollywood. Life after the war was hard, with little food, cold winters, and no modern comforts. But in Arnold's heart, a fire was already starting to burn. He wanted more than the life he saw around him. His father was strict and often pushed him to follow rules without question. Arnold did not always agree, but he learned discipline from those tough lessons. Even as a child, he looked for ways to make himself stronger. He dreamed of escaping the limits of his small town. Many families around him struggled with money, and his own was no different. There was no luxury, no comfort, only survival. Arnold saw the lack of opportunities as both a prison and a challenge. He started to imagine a world far beyond Austria. He often stared at posters of athletes and movie stars with wide eyes. These pictures gave him a glimpse of what might be possible. He began to believe that the body and the mind could be trained like tools. Even at a young age, he started to prepare himself. Arnold was fascinated by strength. Muscles were not just about appearance, but about power and control. To him, strength meant freedom from the life he wanted to escape. Every time he lifted something heavy, he felt a little closer to his dream. School was not easy for him, especially when he felt restless and full of energy. While others memorized lessons, Arnold imagined his future. He believed education was important, but he felt that real learning was waiting for him outside the classroom. His heart was set on action. He faced many doubters who told him his goals were impossible. Neighbors laughed at his big ideas and called him foolish. But their doubt became fuel for his determination. The more people said no, the more he whispered yes to himself. Arnold noticed that many of his friends accepted their lives as they were. They worked, they ate, they slept, and they waited for life to pass. But he refused to believe that destiny was fixed. He was certain that he could change his future. His first encounters with weights were simple and homemade. Old dumbbells and rusty bars were all he had. Yet, each repetition filled him with excitement. He could feel his body responding, and with it, his confidence began to grow. The gym became his sanctuary, a place where he could shape not only his muscles but also his mind. Each day, he pushed a little harder. He started to believe that self-discipline was the key to freedom. This idea would guide him for life. When he looked at himself in the mirror, he did not see who he was but who he could become. The reflection showed not just a skinny boy but a man in the making. This vision gave him courage. It reminded him never to stop. At times, he felt lonely and misunderstood. Few people around him believed in dreams as big as his. Yet he turned that loneliness into energy. Instead of complaining, he worked harder, day by day. He began to write his goals down on paper, keeping them close to his heart. These goals were not small, they were global, powerful, and ambitious. He wanted to be the best in the world. Writing them made them feel real. Magazines and stories of bodybuilders became his secret teachers. He studied their routines, their diets, and their success stories. He copied their exercises with dedication. In his mind, he was already part of their world. The hunger inside him was not only for food but for growth. He felt a deep desire to rise above his circumstances. Every struggle at home reminded him of what he wanted to escape. The pain of today became the reason for tomorrow's success. He started to realize that dreams were stronger than excuses. Each time he felt tired, he remembered why he started. Each time he felt weak, he thought of the life he wanted. His willpower became his secret weapon. Friends sometimes asked him why he worked so hard. Arnold smiled, knowing that they could not see his vision. He knew he was different, and he embraced that difference. His mission was bigger than fitting in. Even as a teenager, he carried himself with unusual confidence. Teachers noticed his determination, though they did not always understand it. Arnold was not trying to be average. He was trying to break the mold completely. He promised himself that one day he would leave Austria. That thought became his daily motivation. Every weight he lifted and every plan he made pushed him closer to freedom. His dream of America burned brighter with every sunrise. By the end of his youth, he was no longer just a boy with an idea. He had become a young man with an unshakable vision. The path would be difficult, but he was ready. He had already learned that greatness begins in the mind. Chapter 2: Finding Bodybuilding. Arnold's first visit to a real gym felt like stepping into a new world. The smell of iron and sweat, the sound of weights hitting the floor, and the energy of the room filled him with excitement. He knew instantly that this was the place where he belonged. He watched older men lifting heavy weights with incredible power. Their muscles looked like armor, and Arnold wanted that for himself. He studied their movements carefully, copying every detail. For him, the gym became a classroom of strength. At first, the weights felt impossible to move. His arms shook, and his body struggled under the pressure. But Arnold was not discouraged. He believed that every rep, no matter how small, was an investment in his future. He started going to the gym every day, even when others rested. Consistency became his secret weapon. While friends went to parties or relaxed, Arnold lifted and trained. He turned sacrifice into progress, and progress into passion. Soon, he began to notice changes in his body. Muscles grew where there had been none before. Each transformation gave him more confidence. Every glance in the mirror confirmed that his hard work was paying off. But it was not only about the body. Arnold was building his mind as well. The discipline required in the gym taught him to focus and stay committed. He learned that success is built one small step at a time. He started reading bodybuilding magazines with great interest. Each page showed champions from around the world. Their pictures were proof that dreams could be real. Arnold kept those magazines close, using them as fuel for his own journey. One photograph in particular caught his heart: Reg Park, a bodybuilding legend. Reg had turned his muscles into fame, fortune, and even movie roles. Arnold decided that he would follow the same path, step by step. The idea of combining strength with fame excited him deeply. He realized that bodybuilding could be his ticket out of Austria. If he could become a champion, he could reach the world. That thought gave him unstoppable energy. Each training session became a ritual. He lifted until his muscles burned and his body screamed for rest. Pain became his teacher, reminding him that growth comes through struggle. Arnold learned to love the challenge. His friends sometimes laughed at his obsession. They could not understand why he worked so hard for something so far away. But Arnold ignored their doubts. He knew his mission was bigger than their imagination. Even hunger and exhaustion could not stop him. He worked small jobs just to afford food and supplements. He gave up comfort, knowing that greatness required sacrifice. Every decision pointed toward his goal. Arnold began entering small competitions, testing himself against others. At first, he did not always win. But each loss taught him valuable lessons. Instead of giving up, he studied harder and trained smarter. The first time he won a local contest, he felt a surge of belief. The applause from the crowd told him he was on the right path. It was no longer just a dream, it was becoming reality. His reputation began to grow in the bodybuilding community. People started to notice the young Austrian with big ambition. They admired his drive, even if they doubted his dreams of reaching America. Arnold used every comment, good or bad, as motivation. Praise gave him confidence, while doubt gave him fuel. He trained with the intensity of someone who knew his destiny was waiting. He often said to himself, "I will be the best in the world." This mantra repeated in his mind like music. It carried him through the hardest workouts and darkest days. His vision stayed clear. Over time, his body transformed completely. The skinny boy was gone, replaced by a young man of strength and power. The mirror now reflected his dedication and his hunger for success. But even more powerful than his muscles was his mindset. Arnold believed without doubt that bodybuilding would open the door to his future. And with every day in the gym, that future came closer. By the end of Chapter 2 in his life, Arnold was no longer just training. He was preparing to launch himself into a bigger world. His dream of becoming a champion had become unstoppable. Chapter 3: America, the Dreamland. Arnold had already made a name for himself in Europe, but his heart was set on something greater. He dreamed of America, the land of opportunity, where champions became legends. Every poster, every magazine, and every story about America pulled him closer. For Arnold, it was not a choice, it was destiny. The day finally came when he boarded a plane to the United States. His pockets were light, but his spirit was heavy with ambition. He looked out the window as Austria faded away beneath him. Ahead was a new life waiting to be built from nothing. When he first arrived, everything felt foreign. The language, the culture, even the food was different. He struggled to communicate, often misunderstood because of his accent. But he refused to let the barrier stop him. Each day, he practiced English words until they became familiar. He listened, repeated, and wrote down new phrases. Some people laughed at his broken speech, but Arnold smiled through it. He knew that every mistake was a step forward. The gyms in America were bigger than anything he had ever seen. They were filled with equipment, trainers, and champions. Arnold felt like a small fish in a huge ocean. Yet deep inside, he believed he could rise above them all. At times, loneliness crept in. He missed his family, his home, and the comfort of hearing his own language. But instead of letting sadness control him, he turned it into fuel. The harder life became, the harder he trained. Money was another challenge. Arnold worked small jobs to support himself. He painted walls, carried bricks, and did whatever was needed. But even after long hours of work, he never skipped the gym. He saw others give up when life in America became too hard. Many returned home, defeated and tired. Arnold, however, refused to quit. He reminded himself daily that pain was temporary but success was forever. In competitions, he faced strong rivals who had been training for years. They had better English, better connections, and more resources. Still, Arnold brought something they did not have: an unstoppable belief in himself. The crowd did not always cheer for him at first. His accent made him sound different, and his face was unfamiliar. But every time he stepped on stage, his muscles spoke a language the world understood. Strength needed no translation. His dedication began to pay off. Judges noticed his perfect form and his relentless drive. Slowly, his name started spreading in the American bodybuilding community. Arnold was becoming a rising star. Still, he never forgot the reason he came. He did not just want trophies, he wanted a new life. He wanted to prove that a poor boy from Austria could conquer the biggest stage in the world. Friends advised him to soften his accent if he wanted to act. They said his voice would never fit Hollywood. But Arnold decided to make his accent part of his identity. What others saw as weakness, he turned into strength. He often walked the streets of Los Angeles, looking up at the tall buildings and movie posters. Each one reminded him that he was closer than ever to his dream. The city of stars was no longer just a picture in a magazine, it was real. Arnold surrounded himself with people who shared his passion. Training partners, mentors, and competitors became part of his journey. Together, they pushed each other to limits they had never imagined. Yet he always stood out because his goals were larger. While others thought about winning local contests, Arnold dreamed of global recognition. His hunger was unmatched, and it set him apart from the rest. Step by step, he started to win titles in America. Each victory gave him more confidence and more attention. He was no longer just the boy from Austria. He was now a champion in the land of opportunity. The media began to notice him. Articles were written, and photos were published. Arnold's story of coming from nothing fascinated the public. People loved the idea of an outsider chasing the American dream. He realized that America was not just a place, it was a mindset. It was about daring to dream bigger than anyone thought possible. Arnold had embraced that mindset fully, and it was shaping his destiny. By the end of this chapter in his life, Arnold had planted his flag in America. He had faced language barriers, loneliness, and endless challenges. But with each struggle, he grew stronger. His dream of greatness was no longer far away, it was within reach. Chapter 4: Hollywood Star. When Arnold looked at Hollywood, he saw more than just movies. He saw a place where dreams turned into legends. For a boy who once had nothing, the idea of standing on the big screen was both frightening and exciting. He decided that he would chase it no matter how hard it was. At first, the film industry did not welcome him. Casting agents told him his accent was too strange and his name was too long. They laughed at his massive body, saying it would never fit on screen. But rejection only made him stronger. Arnold believed every no was just a step toward a bigger yes. He practiced speaking, even if his words were heavy and broken. He studied acting with the same discipline he used in the gym. Slowly, he began to improve. Money was tight, and small roles were all he could find. Sometimes he played nameless characters, sometimes only appeared for seconds. But he treated every role as practice, building his confidence and learning the art of performance. He watched famous actors closely, studying how they moved and spoke. Just as he once studied bodybuilding champions, now he studied Hollywood legends. He knew that success required both patience and imitation before innovation. When he was offered a small but important role, he gave it everything he had. His strong presence stood out, even in films where he had few lines. Directors began to notice that he carried an energy that could not be ignored. Still, many told him he should give up and stick to bodybuilding. They said Hollywood was not made for someone like him. But Arnold refused to shrink his dream to fit their opinion. He knew he belonged on the screen. He kept training his body while training his voice. He believed that strength and personality together could make him unique. Instead of trying to blend in, he chose to stand out. His difference became his advantage. One day, an opportunity came that would change everything. He was cast in Conan the Barbarian, a role that perfectly matched his look and presence. Suddenly, the world saw Arnold not as a stranger, but as a star. The success of Conan gave him confidence, but he still wanted more. Hollywood was full of temporary stars, and he dreamed of becoming unforgettable. He kept pushing himself, knowing that one role could define his career. Then came The Terminator, a film that turned him into a legend. His accent, once mocked, became iconic. His powerful body, once criticized, became unforgettable. The very things that were seen as weaknesses became his greatest strengths. The line "I'll be back" echoed around the world, and with it, Arnold's fame exploded. He was no longer just a champion of bodybuilding, he was now a global superstar. His dream of Hollywood had become a reality. But success did not make him lazy. He continued to study his craft, learning more about acting and film production. He believed that growth never stops, even at the top. This mindset kept him sharp. Arnold began to choose roles that inspired audiences. He played heroes who fought for justice, leaders who protected the weak, and warriors who never gave up. These characters reflected the values he carried in real life. His movies reached millions across the world, including those who had never heard of bodybuilding. He realized that film gave him the power to inspire not just athletes, but everyone. The screen became his new stage of motivation. He also learned that fame came with challenges. Paparazzi followed him, critics judged him, and the pressure to succeed grew heavier. But Arnold reminded himself that pressure creates diamonds. He thrived under the spotlight. Hollywood gave him more than money and fame. It gave him a global voice. He used that voice to share his story, reminding others that anything is possible with hard work and vision. Children around the world looked up to him, not just for his muscles, but for his journey. They saw a poor boy who became a global icon. They believed that if he could do it, maybe they could too. By the end of this chapter, Arnold had conquered the dream of Hollywood. He turned rejection into recognition, weakness into strength, and doubt into destiny. His story became more than entertainment, it became a lesson in never giving up. Chapter 5: Business and Smart Moves. Arnold was not only a bodybuilder and actor, he was also a thinker. Long before Hollywood money arrived, he looked for ways to secure his future. He understood that muscles might fade, but smart decisions could last forever. When he first earned money in America, he did not waste it. While others bought expensive cars or clothes, Arnold saved. He used his money to invest, always thinking about the long game. His discipline in finance was as strong as his discipline in the gym. Real estate caught his attention. He studied how buildings grew in value over time. While many actors waited for paychecks, Arnold bought property. Slowly, his small investments turned into large profits. Friends were surprised by his choices. They expected him to live fast and spend freely like other young stars. But Arnold had a different vision. He wanted to build wealth that could not be taken away. He believed that success must stand on many pillars. Bodybuilding gave him a name, Hollywood gave him fame, but business gave him stability. This balance allowed him to take risks without fear of losing everything. Every property he bought gave him more confidence. His wealth grew quietly, even when his movie career was uncertain. By the time he became a Hollywood star, he was already financially independent. Arnold once said that money gave him freedom. With financial security, he could choose the roles he wanted, not just the ones that paid the most. This freedom kept him focused on passion, not survival. He studied successful businessmen and copied their habits. Just as he once studied Reg Park for bodybuilding, now he studied investors and entrepreneurs. Knowledge became his new workout. Arnold also started fitness-related businesses. He sold books, training programs, and later even produced bodybuilding events. His name became a brand that represented strength, discipline, and success. Unlike many stars who faded after fame, Arnold prepared for the future. He always asked himself how to turn today's success into tomorrow's opportunity. That question guided his decisions in every area of life. His business success inspired other athletes to think beyond sports. He showed that being strong was not enough, you also needed to be smart. He became proof that intelligence and discipline could work together. Even when he faced failures, Arnold did not quit. Some investments did not go as planned, but he treated them as lessons. To him, losing money was not the end, it was education he paid for. As his fortune grew, he gave back to the community. He funded education programs, after-school activities, and fitness initiatives. His wealth was not just for himself, it was a tool to help others rise. Arnold believed that giving created a cycle of success. Helping others inspired him to keep pushing forward. It reminded him of his own journey from poverty and why he had worked so hard. Hollywood fans often only saw the muscles in the movies. But behind the screen, Arnold was a sharp businessman. His empire stretched far beyond film. This hidden side made him even more powerful. He taught that success should be diversified. Putting everything in one place was dangerous. Arnold's story became a lesson: build multiple paths, and you will never be trapped. This mindset gave him confidence to take risks outside of business, too. Later, it would help him step into politics without fear. His foundation of wealth gave him the courage to follow his heart. Arnold's business journey showed that intelligence can be trained just like the body. Hard work, study, and persistence create strength in every field. His muscles opened doors, but his mind kept them open. By the end of this chapter, Arnold was more than a star. He was a businessman, an investor, and a role model for thinking beyond the present. His smart moves made his empire unshakable. His story proves that true power is not only physical. It is also financial, mental, and emotional. Arnold became living proof that greatness grows when you use every strength you have. Chapter 6: Governor of California. Arnold had already conquered bodybuilding, Hollywood, and business. Yet deep inside, he still wanted to serve on a bigger stage. For him, success was never only about personal gain. It was also about giving back to the people. California became his second home, the place where he built his career and fortune. He loved the state, its diversity, and its endless opportunities. When he saw political problems rising, he asked himself if he could help. The answer was yes. Many doubted him again. They laughed at the idea of a movie star becoming governor. They said he had no political experience and no chance. But Arnold was used to hearing no before proving it wrong. He stepped into politics with the same boldness he brought to the gym and the screen. He spoke directly to the people, promising honesty and energy. His confidence and charisma made voters listen. The election became a global story. Headlines around the world showed the bodybuilder turned actor running for governor. Some mocked him, but many admired his courage. His campaign became a movement of possibility. Arnold used simple language when speaking to crowds. He wanted everyone, from students to workers, to understand his vision. He talked about responsibility, hard work, and unity. His message was clear and relatable. People connected with his story of the American dream. He was not born rich or powerful. He was an immigrant who had built his life from nothing. This authenticity gave him strength against seasoned politicians. On election night, the results shocked critics. Arnold Schwarzenegger was chosen as the governor of California. The boy from Austria had risen to one of the most powerful positions in America. History had been made. As governor, he faced enormous challenges. California was struggling with financial problems, environmental issues, and political divisions. But Arnold welcomed the pressure. He believed leadership meant standing tall when times were hard. He worked hard to balance budgets and promote clean energy. He fought for after-school programs and healthier communities. Every decision reminded him why he had entered politics, to serve and protect the people. Arnold also focused on the environment. He pushed for renewable energy and laws to reduce pollution. Many said a bodybuilder would never care about climate change, but he proved them wrong. He thought about future generations. The job was far from easy. He faced criticism from both sides of politics. Some said he was too bold, others said not bold enough. But Arnold never backed down. He learned to listen, adapt, and keep moving forward. Being governor was not like acting in a movie. There were no scripts or second takes. Every decision affected millions of lives. Arnold accepted the weight of this responsibility with seriousness. He often reminded himself of his journey. Each step, from lifting rusty weights to facing Hollywood rejection, had prepared him for this moment. Leadership, like bodybuilding, required strength, discipline, and endurance. Arnold inspired people by showing that anyone could rise, no matter their background. His immigrant story gave hope to millions around the world. He proved that politics could be led by vision, not just tradition. Even after leaving office, his impact remained. Many of his policies on clean energy and education continued to influence California. His time as governor was not perfect, but it was powerful and meaningful. He admitted his mistakes openly and learned from them. To him, failure was not shameful, it was part of growth. This honesty made him more human in the eyes of voters. Arnold believed leadership was about service, not ego. He often said the true measure of success was how many lives you improved. By that standard, he considered his years as governor a victory. By the end of this chapter, Arnold had added yet another title to his extraordinary life. He was not just a champion or a superstar, he was a governor. His journey showed the world that boundaries exist only if you accept them. His story of leadership became another lesson in courage. If a poor boy from Austria could become the governor of California, then no dream was too big for anyone. Arnold's life continued to prove that anything is possible. Chapter 7: Life Lessons for You. Arnold's life is not only a story about him. It is also a guidebook for anyone who wants to achieve more. Every step he took holds a lesson that we can apply in our own lives today. The first lesson is discipline. From waking up early to train, to saving money instead of spending it, Arnold's discipline built his success. Without discipline, talent cannot reach its full potential. The second lesson is vision. Arnold always pictured where he wanted to go. He saw himself in America before he ever stepped on the plane. He saw himself on the movie screen before the first audition. The third lesson is persistence. Life told him no many times, but he kept pushing. He lost contests, failed auditions, and faced criticism. Yet he refused to quit, and that persistence opened every door. The fourth lesson is courage. Arnold dared to dream beyond bodybuilding. He dared to enter Hollywood with a heavy accent and politics with no experience. Courage gave him the strength to leap. The fifth lesson is learning. He studied mentors in every field: bodybuilding, acting, business, and politics. He believed that knowledge could be borrowed and transformed into personal power. Another lesson is patience. His business success did not come overnight. Real estate investments grew slowly, but he waited. Patience allowed small steps to become giant victories. Generosity is also part of his legacy. Arnold gave back through charities, schools, and health programs. He showed that success is sweeter when shared with others. He teaches us not to fear failure. Mistakes are not the end, they are the beginning of wisdom. Each failure made him stronger and smarter, not weaker. Self-belief is one of his strongest lessons. The world doubted him again and again. But he held an inner confidence that carried him through rejection. Belief is the fuel of achievement. He also showed the power of reinvention. Arnold never stayed in one role. He moved from athlete to actor, businessman to governor. Reinvention kept his life alive and meaningful. Time management was key to his achievements. He planned every hour of his day, balancing work, study, and training. His message: if you control your time, you control your life. He teaches us to set big goals. Small goals create small lives. Arnold set impossible goals, and even when he fell short, he landed higher than most people's limits. His life proves that environment matters. He left Austria because he needed a bigger stage. Sometimes success requires changing where you are to unlock who you can be. He reminds us to stay hungry. Even after fame and wealth, he kept looking for new challenges. Hunger for growth keeps the fire of life burning. Arnold also teaches authenticity. He never hid his accent, his background, or his flaws. By being himself, he turned his weaknesses into strengths. He shows us that leadership is service. From bodybuilding stages to the governor's office, his greatest pride came from helping people, not just winning trophies. His story teaches resilience. He faced obstacles in every chapter of life, but he bounced back stronger each time. Resilience turns pain into power. Finally, Arnold's lesson is simple: never accept limits. No matter your age, country, or background, greatness is possible. His journey from a small Austrian village to world icon proves it. When you look at Arnold's life, you see more than muscles and fame. you see a map of how dreams become real. His lessons can inspire anyone, including you, to reach higher and live stronger. Arnold's life teaches us that discipline, vision, and courage are more powerful than any obstacle. Every step of his journey is a reminder that you can rise above difficulties and achieve your goals. Remember, it's not only about becoming a star or a leader. It's about believing in yourself and never quitting. Let Arnold's story inspire you to take the next step toward your own extraordinary journey.